According to the New York Post, a mother of two was arrested after she left her two daughters at home to go to work. At the time, they were living in a motel, and the daughters are 10 and 3. What do you think of this situation?
Well, I think that, first of all, this is a testament to this woman's ability to really do whatever it takes to put food and a warm place for her kids to be able to stay. Now, I understand that this could be there's so many other underlying issues, some issues with race, but also some issues with poverty. In the United States and in Western culture, we have criminalized poverty. This woman is one of the 7 million people that are victim to what we call the working poor. Now, she essentially had a choice to make, whether she goes to work and have her 10-year-old watch her 3-year-old be able to come home, provide a roof over their head and food on their table, or essentially stay home watching the kids and then risk being out on the street, being somewhere, and then having Child Protective Services take her children away. This is not only the testament to this woman's character, to her drive, to her ability to protect her kids, but it's also a condemnation to Western society in the way that we criminalize poverty.
So complicated, Jabari. I hear you. And thank goodness people stepped up. People were outraged alongside you. Like they really wanted to reach out to this woman. They helped her out because this was such a horrifying situation. Kiera on Facebook wrote to us and said, just a few weeks ago, I left my 10-year-old and my 5-year-old doing their online school stuff while I went to work. My dad is 2 houses down. My boss is next door, and we're friendly with our neighbors. My schedule was super light, and I was in and out all day to check on them. But you got to do what you got to do. And Kiera, thank you for sharing that. Because I think there is this kind of underlying problem that we're not really addressing, which is the stuff that Jabari brought up, which is that like childcare is an issue. But there's also the flip side, which is that what are the legalities around this? What is allowed? What is the age? I think 12 is the age where you're technically allowed to start babysitting. But Lily, I'm curious from you, like, are there certain laws that just are in place that won't allow for this?
Well, surprisingly, in most provinces in Canada, there actually are not rules that tell you what age a child can be left at home. Only 3 provinces have rules. And actually in Ontario, the age is 16, if you can believe it. But the rule is that you have to provide, adequate supervision. So there is some question, just because your child is in the home by themselves, if you have someone checking on them, if you yourself are checking on them, that may be adequate supervision. I don't know how you leave a 10-year-old with a 3-year-old. I have a 3-year-old at home. Most of the time, I don't feel old enough to take care of her. But then again, this 10-year-old, may have been more responsible than certainly I was as a 10-year-old when I had never taken care of a child at that point.
Yeah, I think that is why this issue is so complicated. Jabari, I appreciate you talking about the larger issue of criminalizing poverty. And that brings me to a tweet that we got from, we asked our viewers to weigh in on this. And this tweet actually comes from somebody who is a police officer. So this is a police officer called Trish. And Trish says, I would be embarrassed to lay this charge. This desperate mother needs help, not charges. If any cop thinks she chose to do this and had any other options and still thinks a charge is appropriate, they should consider why they became an officer to begin with. So I think that there's the problem that you addressed, Jabari, which is the criminalization of poverty. And then I don't think the law allows space for dealing with these situations. It's either charging someone or nothing. Like, where's the in-between in terms of community services and other resources to access to provide help for people who find themselves in these positions?
I also wonder if it's partially the time we're living through. Like, I'm just going to say quickly that when I was 6 and my sister was 9, we both would walk home together. We walked to school together a few blocks, then we walked home from school together, and we hung out there for at least a few hours when my parents came home. And it was just like, that's what everybody did. Whereas now we're living in a time period where there's a lot more concerns. Some of it's good and some of it's terrible in terms of like what is happening. I wonder also in this case if the location matters. The fact that it wasn't just in a home, that it was in a motel, and presumably if something went wrong, then is the onus on the person who owns the motel. Like, who's stepping in to help out? This isn't just a neighborhood.
Well, and are there
Right.
liabilities there? Like, I mean, Lily, can you weigh in on that? Like, if you're a motel owner and this kind of thing happens, I mean, listen, I think we all have compassion for the mom, but this is why this issue is so complicated, because there's a business here involved as well, right, Lily?
To me, the fact that it's a motel is not the compelling fact in this case. I mean, whether you live at a motel or a short-term rental or an apartment or a home, you have the responsibility for taking care of your kids. And, the motel may be liable if there were some kind of negligence, but leaving your kids, you don't get to transfer that liability to the motel. So to me, that's not the compelling thing. It really is the question of where is the social net that is supposed to help this poor woman who is faced with this impossible choice.
And the truth is, when you look
okay,
at,
we're going to move on to another.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
go ahead. We can move
Jabari.
on, or we could talk about the social structures that we have in place. The backlog of childcare, of help, of childcare subsidies is months and sometimes years long. So this woman literally had to make a choice of worse or something that was extremely bad. So I think she made the right choice. Given the circumstance, she did what's best for her kids.